When I saw those dark marks on her skin, I realized my life had just split in half. Valentine and I met 11 years ago at a photography exhibition in Norfolk. I had just started working as an electrical engineer at a large industrial facility, and she dreamed of opening her own photo studio. 2 years later we got married, a year after that our son Ethan was born, and then our daughter Sophia. 9 years of marriage, is that a lot or a little? I thought I knew the answer. Turned out I didn't. My name is Marcus, and this is the story of how I lost everything I built, but found something far more important. The last 6 months, my relationship with Valentine had become cold. She blamed exhaustion from the photo studio, the kids' headaches. I tried to be patient. Her business was really growing. Orders for weddings, corporate photo shoots, family portraits. She came home exhausted, and I understood that. At least that's what I told myself. That evening in March, I came home early from work. Ethan and Sophia were at school. Valentine was taking a shower. I went into the bedroom to put away the clean laundry I'd picked up from the dry cleaner, and that's when she came out of the bathroom in a towel. We hadn't seen each other undressed much lately, so when the towel shifted slightly, I noticed them immediately. Bruises. Dark, purple marks on the inside of her thighs. Fresh ones. What's this? I asked, pointing at them. Valentine quickly pulled the towel tight, her face flushing. Nothing. I bumped into the corner of a table at the studio. Into the corner of a table? On both thighs? Where marks are left from. I didn't finish the sentence. I didn't need to. Her eyes said everything. Panic that she tried to hide, anger that I'd noticed, despair. Marcus, it's not what you think. Then what is it? She was silent. So was I. Then I just walked out of the room. The next few days I walked around in a fog. Valentine and I barely spoke. I tried to find a logical explanation, but every attempt crashed against one simple fact. We hadn't slept together in 3 months. Who left those marks on her body? I started paying attention to small things. Her phone, which used to always lie in plain sight, was now constantly with her. She started staying late at work more often. And something else, I remembered how a month ago she mentioned some wonderful massage salon where her colleagues had given her a gift certificate. Are you still going to those massages? I asked one evening at dinner, trying to make my voice sound indifferent. The kids were chattering about something of their own, not paying attention to us. Valentine froze with her fork in midair. Sometimes. It helps me relax after work. What salon? Harmony Wellness. On Pacific Avenue. Why are you asking? Just curious. Maybe I should go too. She quickly shook her head. You have to book in advance there. And it's expensive. Let's go somewhere together on the weekend instead. But we didn't go anywhere on the weekend. And I went to Harmony Wellness the next day after work. The salon turned out to be a small but neat establishment in a shopping center near the ocean. Through the large window I could see the reception area with soft chairs and a table with magazines. Behind the counter sat a young female administrator. I parked across from it and waited. 20 minutes later, the door opened and a man came out. Tall, athletic, with dark hair pulled back in a small bun. He said something to the administrator and she laughed. Then he walked to his car, a black Jeep Wrangler. The next day I came back. And I saw her car in the parking lot. The silver Honda CR-V we'd bought 2 years ago. My heart started beating so hard I felt pain in my chest. I waited. 45 minutes. When Valentine came out, her hair was slightly disheveled, her face flushed. She looked happy. The way I hadn't seen her in a very long time. A few minutes later, that same man came out after her. He looked around and quickly kissed her. Not on the cheek. On the lips. For a long time. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. At home I went on Facebook. Finding Harmony Wellness was easy. The salon's page featured a massage therapist, Kevin Morrison, certified specialist in relaxation massage and aromatherapy. In the photo he looked even better than in real life. 32 years old, judging by the biography. I could have caused a scene. Could have exposed them right there at the salon. But something stopped me. Maybe I was still hoping I was wrong. Or I just didn't know what to do next. Instead, I hired a lawyer. Not a family counselor, not a therapist. A divorce attorney. Sharon Blackwell had a reputation as a shark who left her clients with nothing but bones. If you want to gather evidence before the divorce, you need to do it right, she said at our first meeting. Photos, messages, witnesses. But in Virginia, the fact of infidelity doesn't greatly affect property division unless there's financial fraud. I don't need her money, I replied. I need justice. Sharon smiled. Then we'll find another approach. The next 2 weeks I lived in a parallel reality. At home I was the usual Marcus, a dad who helps kids with homework, a husband who doesn't forget to take out the trash. At work I performed my duties automatically, and all the other time I thought about revenge. Valentine continued going to Kevin. Twice a week like clockwork. I knew the exact time because I'd installed a tracking app on her phone through our shared Google account. She didn't even suspect. One evening she came home especially happy, singing in the shower. I sat in the living room with the kids watching a cartoon, trying not to show that I was being torn apart inside. "Dad, why are you so sad?" asked 7-year-old Sophia, snuggling up to me. "Just tired, princess." Ethan, who was 9, looked at me more carefully. "Is everything okay with you and Mom?" Children always sense more than we think. "Everything will be fine," I answered, and it wasn't a lie. Everything really would be fine. Just not like before. I started acting a month after I found out about the affair. The first step was simple. I told Valentine we needed to talk seriously. Without the kids. She tensed up. "About what?" "About us. About our marriage. I think we need a break." Her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I know about Kevin," I said calmly. "I know about the massage salon. About everything." The air between us became thick, heavy. Valentine turned pale. "Marcus, I can explain." "Don't. I don't want to hear explanations. I want a divorce." She started crying. Real tears, not for show. That was the strangest thing. I saw that she was really suffering. But was it because of me? Or because she got caught? "I didn't want this to happen," she whispered. "I still love you. It's just, Kevin, he what? Younger? More attractive? Better in bed?" "He understands me," Valentine exclaimed. "You're always busy with work, the kids, your projects. When was the last time we just talked? About something other than bills and school meetings?" Maybe there was some truth in that. But it didn't justify what she'd done. And that's when the story gets truly insane. The next months were hell. We agreed not to tell the kids until the official divorce, but living under the same roof became unbearable. Valentine moved into the guest room. We only communicated about Ethan and Sophia. Sharon Blackwell worked quickly. Divorce papers, custody agreement, property division. We decided to sell the house and split the money in half. The photo studio stayed with Valentine, my engineering salary and savings, with me. But the real revenge began when I met Kevin's wife. Her name was Rachel, and she had no idea her husband was having an affair with my wife. Kevin was careful. No public appearances, no joint photos on social media. But I knew. And I decided Rachel should know too. I didn't write her an anonymous letter. Didn't send photos. Instead, I just came to her at work. She worked as a manager at a local bookstore, and told her everything. Showed her the photos I'd taken near the salon. Dates, times. Rachel listened silently. Then she thanked me and asked me to leave. A week later, Kevin lost his job. It turned out that the owner of Harmony Wellness was Rachel's friend, and when she found out about the affair, she immediately fired Kevin. But that was just the beginning. Rachel filed for divorce and demanded everything: the house, the car, the savings. Kevin didn't have a lawyer of Sharon's caliber. He lost almost everything. And then Valentine realized that Kevin was a destroyed man. Without a job, without money, without a future. And she made a choice. She stayed with him. Our divorce was finalized in August. The kids took the separation hard, but we agreed on joint custody, a week with me, a week with her. The house sold for a good price. I bought an apartment near the school. Valentine and Kevin rented a small apartment on the other side of Virginia Beach. Her photo studio started losing clients. Some rumor about family drama spread among regular customers. Kevin couldn't find a new job in the massage industry. Rachel made sure his reputation was ruined. But the strangest thing was what happened 3 months after the divorce. Ethan came to me after a week at his mother's and said, "Dad, Mom cries every night. She says she made a mistake. Says everything was a mistake." What exactly was a mistake? I asked, though I knew the answer. "Kevin. The divorce. Everything." I hugged my son. Sometimes adults make wrong decisions. But that doesn't mean everything can be turned back. Sophia added. "And Kevin is weird. He's always angry. And he and Mom argue." I didn't feel satisfaction from these words. No, it wasn't joy. Rather relief. Understanding that justice, though cruel, exists. A year passed. Valentine and Kevin broke up. It turned out that when the adrenaline of a forbidden affair disappears, only reality remains. And the reality was this: 2 people who destroyed their families for passion that faded as quickly as it flared up. Before I continue, please pause the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new interesting stories. Thank you. Valentine tried to talk to me once when she was picking up the kids. Marcus, I know I have no right to ask, but can we try again? Start over? I looked at her. She had aged over that year. Not physically, something just went out in her eyes. That spark I'd seen when she came out of the massage salon had disappeared forever. No, I answered simply. What we had is dead. And I don't want to revive a corpse. She cried, but I didn't change my decision. But I had no idea what was coming next. The situation was about to spiral completely out of control in ways I never could have imagined. I thought it couldn't get any worse, but 2 weeks after Valentine's attempt to reconcile, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Rachel, Kevin's ex-wife. Marcus, we need to talk. Can we meet? We met at a coffee shop in downtown Virginia Beach. Rachel looked tired but determined. She ordered a latte and got straight to the point. Kevin is stalking me. He blames me for ruining his life. He's been showing up at my work, at my apartment. The police can't do much until he actually does something threatening. I felt a chill run down my spine. Why are you telling me this? Because he's also talking about you. And Valentine. He says you're the reason everything fell apart. That if you hadn't interfered, they could have been happy. He's delusional. I know. But he's also desperate. And desperate people do unpredictable things. That conversation haunted me for days. I started paying more attention to my surroundings. Checked the locks on my doors twice. Made sure the kids were never alone outside. Then one evening in late September, everything came to a head. I was picking up Ethan and Sophia from Valentine's apartment. She opened the door looking shaken, her eyes red from crying. Marcus, Kevin was here. He's not doing well. He said things. Horrible things. What kind of things? That I destroyed him. That he gave up everything for me and I abandoned him. That he's going to make everyone pay. This was the moment when I realized, there's no turning back. I immediately called Sharon Blackwell. She advised me to document everything and consider a restraining order. But Virginia's laws were tricky. Without a direct threat, it was hard to get protection. The next few weeks were tense. Kevin started showing up places. At the school where our kids studied. At my workplace. He never approached directly, just watched from a distance. It was unnerving in a way I'd never experienced before. Valentine was terrified. She admitted that during their relationship, Kevin had shown possessive tendencies, but she dismissed them as passion. Now, without her, those tendencies had morphed into something darker. He keeps texting me, she said one day when we met to discuss the kids' safety. Says he can't live without me. That I'm the only good thing that ever happened to him. You need to block him. I did. He just gets new numbers. Marcus, I'm scared. What if he does something to the kids? Despite everything she'd put me through, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. And I realized that Kevin wasn't just my problem or her problem. He was a threat to our children. I hired a private security consultant named Derek, a former military man who specialized in personal protection. He assessed the situation and gave me some hard truths. This guy is spiraling. Lost his job, his wife, his reputation. Now he's lost your ex-wife too. He's got nothing left to lose and that makes him dangerous. You need to be proactive. Derek helped me install better security systems in my apartment and Valentine's. He also taught both of us basic safety protocols, varying our routes, being aware of our surroundings, documenting every encounter with Kevin. But Kevin was getting bolder. One night in October, I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Valentine, hysterical. He's outside my apartment. He's been ringing the bell for 20 minutes. The police are on their way but they're taking forever. Lock yourself in the bathroom with the kids. Don't open the door for anyone except the police. I drove to her apartment, my heart racing. When I arrived, police cars were already there. Kevin was being led away in handcuffs, shouting incoherently about betrayal and justice. The police officer who took my statement was sympathetic but realistic. We can hold him for a few hours, maybe charge him with disturbing the peace. But unless he makes a direct threat or attempts violence, there's not much we can do. So we just wait until he hurts someone? The officer sighed. I wish I could tell you different. File for a restraining order. Document everything. And stay vigilant. Valentine was shaking when I went up to her apartment. Ethan and Sophia were confused and scared. I stayed with them that night, sleeping on the couch, making sure everyone was safe. The next morning, I had a long conversation with the kids. I hated having to explain that sometimes adults make bad choices that hurt not just themselves but everyone around them. But they deserved to know why their lives had become so complicated. Is Kevin a bad man? Sophia asked, her eyes wide. He's a man who's in a lot of pain and doesn't know how to handle it properly, I said carefully. But that doesn't mean what he's doing is okay. Ethan was more direct. Are we safe, Dad? I'm doing everything I can to make sure you are. What happened after that is worth hearing. Sharon managed to get an emergency restraining order issued. Kevin had to stay at least 500 feet away from me, Valentine, and the kids. But as Derek had warned, a piece of paper doesn't stop someone who's truly determined. Kevin violated the restraining order within a week. He showed up at Ethan's soccer game. Security escorted him out, but the damage was done. My son was terrified, unable to focus on anything but scanning the crowd for Kevin's face. I made a decision that day. I couldn't just react anymore. I needed to be proactive. I reached out to Kevin's family. His mother, Linda, lived in Richmond. She was shocked when I called her and explained the situation. Kevin always had a temper, she admitted. But after his divorce from Rachel, he changed. Became obsessed with that woman, your ex-wife. I tried to talk to him, but he won't listen to me. Can you help? Talk to him? Convince him to get help? There was a long pause. I can try. But Marcus, you need to understand, Kevin feels like he's lost everything. And when someone feels like that, they become unpredictable. Linda did try. She drove down to Virginia Beach and met with Kevin. According to her, he broke down crying, saying he didn't know who he was anymore. That everything he'd built his identity around, his marriage, his career, his relationship with Valentine, had crumbled and he didn't know how to exist without those anchors. Linda convinced him to check into a mental health facility for evaluation. For 2 weeks, things were quiet. I started to hope that maybe, just maybe, Kevin would get the help he needed and we could all move on with our lives. But then Kevin checked himself out. And things escalated in a way none of us saw coming. One afternoon in November, I got a call from the school. Kevin had tried to pick up Ethan and Sophia, claiming he was their stepfather and had permission. The school, following the protocols we'd established, refused and called me immediately. I rushed to the school, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. By the time I arrived, Kevin was gone. The school administrator assured me the kids were safe, but I could see the fear in their eyes. That evening I sat down with Valentine. Despite everything, we were still parents together, and we needed to make a unified decision. We need to leave, she said quietly. At least for a while. Let things cool down. Run away? That's not a solution. What is, Marcus? Waiting until he actually hurts one of us? Or worse, one of the kids? She had a point. But the idea of uprooting our children's lives because of Kevin's instability felt wrong. Sharon offered a different perspective. There's something you should know. Kevin's ex-wife Rachel called me. She's been keeping tabs on him through mutual friends. Apparently, Kevin has been talking about making things right and teaching everyone a lesson. We need to take this seriously. Derek, my security consultant, was even more direct. You've got a guy with nothing to lose, a clear fixation and escalating behavior. I've seen this pattern before. It doesn't usually end well. I made a decision. I took a leave of absence from my job. Valentine temporarily closed her online photo editing business. We enrolled the kids in a different school across town under my mother's address, using her last name temporarily. We varied our schedules, our routes, everything. It felt like we were prisoners in our own lives. And I hated it. I hated what Valentine's affair had set in motion. I hated that Kevin's instability was controlling our every move. Most of all, I hated that my kids were paying the price for adult mistakes. Then, in mid-November, something shifted. I got a call from Rachel again. Kevin contacted me. He wants to talk. Says he's ready to apologize and move on. I don't know if I believe him, but he sounded different. Less manic. It could be a trap. I know. But what if it's not? What if he really is ready to get help and move on? I discussed it with Derek. He suggested a controlled meeting, neutral location, witnesses present, clear boundaries. We arranged to meet at a public park in the afternoon. Kevin, Rachel, Valentine, and me. Derek would be nearby, along with a friend of Rachel's. Things went south, we'd have backup. When I saw Kevin, I was shocked. He'd lost weight, his eyes were hollow, his usual confident posture replaced by something broken. He looked like a man who'd aged 10 years and 6 months. I owe you all an apology, he started, his voice shaky. What I did, the affair, the stalking, everything, it's inexcusable. I've been seeing a therapist, taking medication. I'm trying to get better. Valentine spoke up, her voice uncertain. Kevin, I'm sorry too. For how things ended. For my part in all this. I watched them, these two people who destroyed their families for each other and then destroyed each other. There was no passion left, no spark. Just exhaustion and regret. I'm leaving Virginia, Kevin continued. Going back to Richmond to live with my mom for a while. Start over somewhere where I don't have memories. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And that I won't bother any of you again. After he left, we all sat in silence for a moment. Rachel broke it first. Do you believe him? I don't know, I admitted. But I want to. The weeks that followed were tense but quiet. Kevin really did seem to be staying away. Derek continued monitoring the situation, but there were no more sightings, no more violations of the restraining order. Christmas came and went. Ethan and Sophia slowly started to relax, though they still had nightmares sometimes. Valentine and I maintained our cordial co-parenting relationship, but something had fundamentally changed. She'd seen what her choices had unleashed, and I think the guilt was eating her alive. In January we got word that Kevin had moved to North Carolina. He'd found a job in construction, was still seeing his therapist regularly, and had started rebuilding his life. Rachel sent me a text. I think he's really trying this time. By February things had returned to something resembling normal. The kids went back to their original school. Valentine reopened her business, though she'd pivoted to focus more on online work rather than in-person shoots. I returned to my engineering job. One evening Valentine asked to meet me for coffee. Just the two of us. I want you to know something, she said, stirring her drink absently. What happened with Kevin, the affair, everything after, it's the biggest regret of my life. Not because of how it ended, but because of what I destroyed. Our family. Your trust. The kids' sense of security. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know. And because I need to say it out loud. I loved you, Marcus. I still do, in a way. But I also loved Kevin. And I thought I could have both. That I deserved both. I was wrong. Yes, you were. The thing is, I don't think Kevin was ever really the problem. He was just a symptom. Of my dissatisfaction, my boredom, my refusal to communicate what I needed. If it hadn't been him, it would have been someone else eventually. I considered her words carefully. That's probably the most honest thing you've said to me in years. She smiled sadly. Too little, too late, right? For us as a couple? Yes. But for us as parents? Maybe it's what we needed to move forward. We sat in silence for a while, two people who'd once promised forever to each other, now strangers connected only by the children they'd created. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? She asked finally. I don't know. Maybe one day. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Or going back. I know. I needed to ask. As I drove home that night, I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the bruises, the stalking, the fear. The way one bad decision had cascaded into a series of disasters that affected everyone involved. But I also thought about the moments of grace. Rachel's bravery in facing her own husband's betrayal. My kids' resilience. Even Kevin's eventual attempt to get help and move on. And my own journey from devastated husband to someone who'd learned to stand on his own again. In March, exactly a year after I'd first noticed the bruises on Valentine's thighs, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I went on a date. Nothing serious, just coffee with a woman I'd met at a community engineering workshop. Her name was Jennifer, she was divorced with 2 kids of her own, and she understood the complications of blended families and shared custody. We talked for 3 hours. About work, about our kids, about our past relationships and what we'd learned from them. When I drove home that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The next day, Ethan asked me why I was smiling while making breakfast. Just thinking about possibilities, buddy? Good possibilities or bad possibilities? Good ones. Definitely good ones. Sophia hugged my leg. I like when you smile, Daddy. You should do it more. I'm working on it, Princess. That weekend, when I dropped the kids off at Valentine's apartment, she noticed something different about me too. You seem lighter, she observed. I am. I'm finally letting go of the weight I've been carrying. That's good. You deserve to be happy, Marcus. So do you? I hope you find your way there. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you for saying that. As I drove away, I realized something important. Revenge wasn't about destroying Valentine or Kevin. Real revenge was living well. It was showing my kids that even when life throws you devastating curveballs, you can survive and even thrive. It was proving to myself that I was more than just someone's betrayed husband. I was Marcus, father, engineer, and someone capable of building a new life from the ashes of the old. Kevin sent an email in April. Just a brief message, I'm doing better. Therapy helps. I hope you and your family are well. I'm truly sorry for everything. I wrote back, "I'm glad you're getting help. Take care of yourself." That was it. No anger, no bitterness. Just acknowledgement and moving on. By summer the kids were thriving. Ethan made the travel soccer team. Sophia discovered a love for painting. They split their time between Valentine's place and mine, and while it wasn't the traditional family structure we'd once had, it worked. Valentine started dating someone new, a divorced father she met through a parents' group at the kids' school. He seemed kind, stable, everything Kevin wasn't. I was genuinely happy for her. Not because I wanted her back, but because the mother of my children deserved to find peace. I continued seeing Jennifer. We took things slow, both of us wary of rushing into anything. But it felt right in a way that my relationship with Valentine hadn't felt in years. We communicated. We were honest. We didn't just exist alongside each other, we actually connected. One evening in August, 2 years after the divorce was finalized, I sat on my apartment balcony watching the sunset. Ethan was inside playing video games, Sophia was drawing at the kitchen table. It was a simple, quiet moment, but it felt perfect. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer, "Hope you're having a good evening with the kids. Coffee tomorrow?" I smiled and texted back, "Sounds perfect." As I put my phone down, I thought about everything that had brought me to this moment. The pain, the betrayal, the fear, the anger. But also the growth, the healing, the second chances. Life wasn't perfect. There were still moments when I felt the sting of Valentine's betrayal. Still times when the kids struggled with the divorce. Still occasional worries about Kevin's stability, though he'd continued to stay away and seemed genuinely committed to his recovery. But we were okay. More than okay. We were building new lives, new relationships, new futures. And in the end, that was the best revenge of all. Not destruction but reconstruction. Not bitterness but growth. Not staying stuck in the past, but embracing the possibility of a better future. The bruises on Valentine's thighs had revealed a truth that shattered our marriage. But from those shattered pieces, we'd all found ways to build something new. Not what we'd planned, but something real nonetheless. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, I called the kids to join me on the balcony. "Look at that sunset," Sophia breathed. "Beautiful," Ethan agreed. I put my arms around both of them. "You know what? Tomorrow's going to be a good day." "How do you know?" Sophia asked. "Because we're together, we're safe, and we're moving forward. That's all that matters." And for the first time in a very long time, I truly believed it. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.